Hey everybody, Spaz here. Happy holidays! I'd like to welcome you to this special edition of the Spaz video series where I'm not going to focus on stuff like power pop or new wave or basically really no rock music from the 80s onwards. What I'm going to focus on exclusively is Christmas music recorded between, let's say, the 40s and the 70s. I'm not going to talk about the usual things, let's say like the Carpenters, or even like Dean and Frank and Bing and Nat King Cole and the Beach Boys and Vince Guaraldi and Elvis and Andy Williams. Not the stuff that you normally hear on played in the stores, Christmas time. I'm going to focus on things that are sort of maybe outside your radar that I think you would really enjoy if you are, like me, a connoisseur of Christmas music. This first one I'm going to talk about, it's more a childhood memory thing that kind of maybe goes against what I just said, because a lot of people know this, but may not know of this particular release, which is really nice. This is Christmas with the Chipmunks. There's been a lot of versions of this. This one here came out a few years ago. It's got this nice sort of shiny foil cover that sort of resembles the original albums when they came out in the early 60s. At least this one. This is actually 16 tracks. There are Chipmunks Christmas collections that do feature more tracks, but this is a really nice little package. Like I said, it's got that shiny foil reflective cover that is makes it a really nice package. Next up, in the 60s, folk artists, they were either the singer-songwriter or you got a trio or you got a quartet. Now, New Christy Minstrels were a mega band, and this right here is the Complete Columbia Christmas recordings. This has both of their albums. First album, which is just absolutely fabulous. Both of them, by the way, are featured on this CD. It actually has a lot of folk and spiritual, religious songs, and not really focusing so much on the traditional Christmas music. But it's got a very Christmas feel, and it's really a great disc that you should check out. New Christy Minstrels. This stuff is over 50 years old. Came out in the 60s. But this features both of their albums, and it's definitely worth tracking down if you enjoy heartfelt Christmas, folky, mellow, a lot of great harmonies. You're going to find it there on the New Christy Minstrels. Speaking of harmonies, whenever my family, when we were kids, would have Christmas celebration, Christmas party, maybe just a couple families getting together, they always had to throw on a holiday sing-along with Mitch, which may not be, the most expertly arranged vocals and harmonies and stuff, but it's basically a bunch of people getting together and having a great time and singing your favorite Christmas tracks. When this came out on vinyl, it actually had a gatefold sleeve and had lyrics inside, and I'd like to happily state that this does have lyrics, as well as, since it's a CD reissue, it's got bonus tracks. If you look back there, the bottom 3 tracks are additional tracks that weren't on the original LP. This is a firm family favorite and should be played many times during the holiday season. I said no Andy Williams, but I didn't say no Williams Brothers. This came out in the early 70s. Absolutely wonderful Christmas album. It's Andy and his 3 brothers, who were actually a vocal quartet before Andy's solo career took off in the 50s. This is the first time they actually recorded a Christmas album together, although they did make appearances on his Christmas specials on TV. This is a really, really great collection. A lot of great material on it. Andy has a very distinctive voice. His brothers sing very well, but I really love to hear the way that Andy's voice sort of weaves in and out of the harmonies, and it's just really fantabulous. So that's the Williams Brothers Christmas album is a recommendation. When we were kids, my parents would have, on Christmas morning, they'd turn on the Christmas lights and they'd say, "Come out, kids, Santa was here," blah blah blah. We'd go out and we'd grab our stockings and open our Christmas presents. This is the album that played every year. Well, actually, not this album. It was the Glenn Campbell, That Christmas Feeling. But that whole album is contained on this CD, which is the complete Capitol Christmas recordings. Fantastic. Not only do you get the album That Christmas Feeling that came out in 1967, but you get bonus tracks, and you get a picture of Glenn in a white jumpsuit. I guess this is during his Elvis period. I'm not sure, but this is actually, if you're a fan of things like the classic Glenn Campbell's, like Wichita Lineman, By the Time I Get to Phoenix, stuff like that, this is very much has that feeling because it was recorded that same period. It's really a lot of beautiful songs in there. There's some traditional and there's some not so common Christmas songs on there, but it's wonderful because it's Glenn Campbell. Now I want to talk about some compilations, and I'm just going to go through these real fast. I've made many versions of this video over the course of the last couple days, and they all last 20 minutes. So I'm trying to cut this down, and I'm going to just quickly go through these. If you like really kind of cool, loungy, exotica, kind of eclectic, eccentric Christmas music recorded in the 50s and 60s, you're definitely going to want to get the Christmas Cocktails. I believe there's actually 3 volumes. I've only got the first 2, and there's also, they combine these and the 3rd one into a special set as well. So Christmas Cocktails, it's really fun. It has that Christmas feeling, but it's really kind of kooky and quirky. Next up, we have 2 releases off of the Bear Family Records label. Bear Family is a German label, and they love American music more than America does. The first one here is Big City Christmas, which is like, it's got people like Ricky Nelson on it, a couple of rare transcriptions, a lot of great things on there. But there's also, this is kind of like if you were strolling around New York in the 50s or 60s, this is the kind of vibe you would get. Whereas there's also Christmas on the Countryside, which is exactly as it says. It's a lot of honky-tonkin' Christmas fun on that disc. These are both single disc collections. There's the Big City Christmas if you want to pause and look at some of the artists. And this is the Christmas on the Countryside if you want to pause and look at the track listings. These are both really great. 2 different ends of this musical spectrum, but still very fun. Next things I want to talk about, it's a great label called Jasmine Records out of Europe. Everything that I'm going to talk about here, most of the stuff that's on the CDs are things you can't get on other CDs. That's why it's great that we have this label called Jasmine. This one here is called A Rock and Roll Christmas Party. This has a lot of great stuff on there. Most of it is rare, but it does have like Elvis and it does have Brenda Lee and Bobby Helms. It has the classics as well as some, like Huey Piano Smith. And that's a really nice collection there. It's a single disc, but there's still plenty of songs on there, as you can tell. Also, part of that, sort of maybe a companion disc to that, would be Christmas Around the Jukebox, which is just kind of rhythm and blues and blues stuff. So it's got, Chuck Berry and B.B. King and stuff. A lot of the stuff is rare. Some of it you've heard, but all of it is yum, yum, ho, ho, holiday fun. Next up, we have the rest of these, I believe, are 2 CD sets, definitely worth your time. This one's called Here We Come A-Caroling. The group Celebrate the Holidays. A lot of rare things. Like I said, you may want to pause and look at that kind of stuff. But this is a 2 CD set. Fantastic stuff. Another 2 CD set. Actually, there's 2 CD sets, more country stuff. First off, you got A Country Christmas. And again, I wish I could go through and point out songs to you, but it's just going to take forever, and I know that a lot of you don't have time. I could devote a half hour to each of these CDs, but that's called A Country Christmas. This is, I believe it might be new for this year, Celebrating Christmas Down Country Lanes. And that's another great thing. You can look at some of the artists there on the front and know what you're getting. And there's track lists, 2 CD set. Here's one called Christmas in the Air. Television Stars Ring in the Holidays. Another great 2 CD set. Lots of rare stuff on these things. Like I said, if you see Andy Williams sitting there, there's a good chance it's a version of a song that isn't on one of his albums. Or maybe it might be, but then, on these discs, you're also going to find people like Dinah Shore or Les Paul and Mary Ford, where these Christmas albums have never been officially released. So once again, Christmas in the Air is another great collection there. Snowbound for Christmas, another great collection. Like I said, you can look at that cover and get an idea of what's on there. Every one of these is just jam-packed full of rarities. It's really, really nice. And you know, a lot of things, I mean, a lot of people aren't particularly looking for, you know, rare Eddie Arnold Christmas stuff, but you're going to find it on these discs. You're going to find some crazy things that you may not have remembered existed, or the last time you heard it was 50 years ago. This one here, Home for the Holidays, is another great one. And I like the covers too, because they have that sort of vintage retro feel to them. 2 CD set, lots of great stuff there. This one here means a heck of a lot to me. It's called The Sounds of Christmas, Rare Holiday Gems. The reason it means so much is because there's a track here by Guy Lombardo and the Royal Canadians, and it's called If I Were Santa Claus. And over the last few years, it has become one of my favorite holiday Christmas songs. And I put it on constant rotation here at Spaz Central. Once again, that's a great one called The Sounds of Christmas, Rare Holiday Gems. Don't worry, I've only got 2 more here. Winter Wonderland, A Christmas Celebration. Another great collection of... This one is less artist heavy. There's roughly about 5 artists or so on here, but there's a lot of tracks by each of them. Most of them have never been released elsewhere. And finally, we have one called Christmas Way Back Home, Joint Sessions and Rarities. These are things that, collaborations and you know, you've got like, you know, your Stevie and Edie on there, but separately, oddly enough. But it's a really great collection, a lot of great music on there. And those last, you know, 6, 7, 8 titles I talked about, they're all on the Jasmine Records label. Really great label. If you're a Christmas connoisseur, some of the stuff is things that people have been looking for the 7 inches or the 10 inches or the 78s or the 45s or 33s, whatever. This is just fantabulous, excellent Christmas music that just falls everywhere, you know, just like snowflakes when I try to grab it. But I highly recommend it, and I that's it. I mean, I could go on and on and on and talk about Christmas music, but I don't want to bore everybody. I mean, I think I've bored you and maybe you and her over there. But anyway, thank you. I wish you nothing but the best this holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and smell you later.